let me ask you some questions about Iran, the expat community in the UK, because I know that most people think Iranians, Iraqis, Jordanians, Saudi Arabians, they're all the same. They're all Arabs, they're all Muslims, they all believe the same thing, they're just different countries. How true or untrue is that?
Well, first of all, Iranians are not Arabs. We're Persians, or we speak Persian language. We don't speak Arabic, and I think Iran is a completely odd situation in the Middle East, because in the Middle East you've got mostly pro-Western governments, but very sort of like anti-Western population. In Iran is completely the opposite. So you've got a very anti-Western government, but a very pro-Western secular population. And the reason for that is that those other countries haven't had an Islamic government. We've been unfortunate with having an Islamic government that came to power 44 years ago, 45 years ago, unfortunately. And the reason that Iranians are more secular and less religious is because they've seen the hypocrisy of a religious government. They've seen the damage that mixing politics with religion does, not just to the country, to the religion itself. Because as long as religion is a spiritual, private thing, it's got some sort of sanctity to it. You know, you respect a person with spiritual belief. They normally have high moral standards, but once you mix it with politics, you're bound to fail in politics. And if you fail in politics, then the blame goes on the religion itself. So that's why Iranians have become much less religious than their counterparts in the Middle East. And obviously, the majority of the Iranian expats, unless you're talking about a few individuals like that guy who's a bogus asylum seeker, most of them have left Iran because they didn't want to live in an Islamic country. So they came to UK because they appreciated the values of a secular country like the UK. And then what's happening is that what they fled from is sort of catching up with them here, because here is becoming more and more Islamic. That's why you see so many Iranians going on the pro-Israeli marches. That you see so many Iranians opposing all this Islamization of the UK. But unfortunately, we're not sort of politically united. We haven't become a political force like the Muslims have. The Muslim vote, for example, the sort of sectarianism that we saw in the last general election. The politicians are not taking us seriously as yet, because we haven't really learned how to become a political force, a voting bloc in the UK.
Next question. Are most Iranians Muslims?
Um, I mean, officially, yeah, the vast majority are Muslim. Whether they're practicing Muslims or not is another matter. But they're mostly born Muslims. And then we had a thriving Jewish community, Christian community, a Baha'i community. The Baha'is have probably suffered the most in Iran, because they are, whereas the Christians and Jews are sort of tolerated official minorities. They don't have the full rights as the Shias, but Shia Muslims in Iran, but they're not person non grata. But the Baha'is are just nothing. They're not considered as human in the Islamic Republic. Their children can't, say, for example, even go to universities if they say they're Baha'is on their certificates. If they declare that they're Baha'is, they can't even enjoy further education. And it makes me laugh when these people go on about apartheid in Israel. I mean, go to Iran and then see how the Baha'is are living, and then you will know what apartheid is. Iran is a religious apartheid, but I don't see any protests by these professional revolutionaries and protesters in Britain against it.
Yeah. Next question. I've seen before in the UK, outside probably the Iranian embassy, or when something happens in Iran, that we have Iranians living in the UK who are fighting each other basically. One side supporting the Iranian regime, in which case what they're doing here, and the people who left Iran because they didn't like the Iranian regime. And it's like, what's that about?
So there's been I mean, the recent incidents. One was they had this after the previous Iranian president was killed in a helicopter crash. Um, they had this so-called elections. You can't really call it elections. I mean, it's just it's a selection, really, because you have a body, an unelected body, which is appointed by the supreme leader, called the Guardian Council, and the Guardian Council vets the candidates. So only certain people can stand as candidates, and even so. Before any vote is cast, it's decided who's going to be the next president. It's whoever the supreme leader wants. It's a sham election. So they were holding this election to replace the previous president that was killed in the helicopter crash, and they were holding election ballots in the Iranian outlets in the UK as well, like the Iranian consulate or the Islamic Center, the one of the schools they were doing, and there were some Iranians living in here that had decided to go and vote, take part in this sham elections. And then there were counter protesters that thought they were being treacherous, and that they were just by doing so they were supporting the regime. They was trying to legitimize the regime, saying that they're holding a real election. So they was all like peacefully counter protesting outside these centres, and the police seem to be more against the counter protesters and protecting the pro-regime people. And then there was another incident at Wembley. The incident at Wembley is quite interesting. It's something that really needs serious investigation. After the former president was killed in that helicopter crash, this centre in Wembley was holding a commemoration event. Now, most of the people that were there, that went to that event, were not Iranian. They were either Iraqi Shias that are supporting the Iranian proxy groups in Iraq, or as it's what we found out, or Bahraini opposition to the Bahraini government. The Bahraini, and I mean, again, there's a Iranian proxy group fighting the Bahraini government called Saraya al-Mukhtar, which is another proscribed terrorist group. And some of these people, I think, are supporters of that group. So they were holding that commemoration event in Wembley, and they sort of pre-announced it freely that we're holding this commemoration event. Some Iranian expats found out about it, and only a few of them. I think it wasn't even more than 10 of them. They went again to counter protest outside the centre, and these Iraqi and Bahraini supporters of the regime came out and beat the crap out of those 10 people. And we saw ample footage of what was happening. There was a girl that was being kicked by 4 men on the floor. There was one counter protester that was in hospital for over 2 months. He couldn't walk because he was beaten up that badly. And the Brent police have not arrested one person. And their excuse is that we can't identify these people. But the Iranian expats have identified these people. We know who they are. There's ample footage. And I say, oh, we don't have face recognition tools and this and that. That's just nonsense. So what is going on? How can the Brent police not have arrested one person? 4 men are kicking a girl on the floor. I mean, the Times of London has covered this story. The Jewish Chronicle has covered the story. And still the Brent police are not answerable to anyone. Are they in bed with these people? Are they protecting these people? What is going on? Because this is a hostile group that chanced death to England, and it's operating on UK soil. You have film footage of them. We've identified who they are, and you haven't arrested anyone.
Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers. I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.